Welcome to Stampscaping 101. I have a customer that recently asked about stamping out a cave. Okay, now when I think about caves, I'm usually thinking about kind of an interior view. You can stamp something where there's an exterior view and you're looking into a cave from the outside and you can just have it dark inside. All right. Now, what I'm going to do is, kind of a format where you can use that type of thing. Either way, it just depends on what you have kind of in the window. It could either be darkness if you're looking at it from the outside in, or it could be light where you're looking from the inside out. Okay. Now, I happen to think inside out is pretty dramatic in terms of the overall framing of a cave situation. I'm going to show you two stamps that I typically use for that, when I think about a cave, as far as the utilization of Stampscapes imagery. Okay, now one of them is called Ledge. Okay, it comes in by itself, it's 054F, or the Boulders with Lichen 205F. Okay, and they're basically the same type of thing, they just have different textures. Now, they could be used together as well. To have different types of textures. You see that in geology all the time, two different types of compositions kind of next to one another. But let's take a look at this right here. I'm just going to do this in stamp sketches. I'm not going to do a finished scene, although I might finish off a scene later on in a separate video. Okay, but anyways, the Boulders with Lichen. It's been designed just like any other Stampscape stamp to be used independently. With other Stampscapes imagery, other stamps from other companies, in multiples with itself, and in, I don't know, as many ways as possible. Okay? Alright, so I just stamped it out, and I've changed the angle slightly with the next impression, okay? Now, that would look fantastic just as a foreground ledge for a background in here, okay? But we're talking about caves here, so the way that I've designed this stamp, and like I said, all stamps are to be used in as many different ways as possible, okay? Now, one of the things that I've talked about a lot with things like sky imagery is when you're stamping and you're creating your transitions from one impression to the next, you could, when you ink this up, kind of wipe off the edges a little bit so that the transitions from one impression to the next are nice and seamless and sometimes a little bit more graceful. But you don't really need to do that with this one. This one's not like a sky image where it has a hard rectangle or something like that. But, I mean, you could take and wipe this off a little bit, okay? See, this part right here is going to go into this one, all right? But like I said, I mean, I haven't done it right there, and you don't see any of these hard angles or anything like that. Now, I usually don't go 90 degrees from one impression to the next. You see I'm slightly changing the angle like this. I mean, but you could go 90, and I think it looks pretty good. All right, something like that. And we'll finish one off right here. And you notice I didn't do any masking. I mean, you could do something. Now, if I was to create another layer here, and have some other rocks in here, okay? I probably would mask this off, but it wouldn't be anything more than just a torn paper towel like that. And, well, let me just demonstrate it for you. I probably wouldn't do this in a cave situation. I would like to have, a decent size opening for what I'm going to be stamping on the outside, if you're looking from the outside in. All right, change that from the inside out. Okay, so this would be a kind of a nice frame here, right? It's it's a natural framing device for a composition. And if you're looking from the inside out, you would just kind of darken this in here, and see it's a little bit of a darker frame looking out. Okay, so anyways, here's my secondary impression right in here to build up one side. You can go like this, or you can go this way, whatever way you want to go. Let's go at a little bit of an angle like this. Okay, look at this one I didn't even need, okay? But you're masking. I mean, oops. Okay, I didn't put enough pressure there. Here, this is a good example for what to do in that situation right here. See this right here? I've built up a two-layer type of thing right there. And that was keeping my, when I'm pressing down like this, even though paper towels are very thin, I was creating kind of a ledge for myself. So let me just go and ink that kind of top portion up again like that. And let me give it a little bit more pressure right in here. Okay, so the paper towel goes right here and here underneath. So I'm going to give it a little bit more pressure. And let's see if I can get enough pressure into that spot right there. Yeah, see right there. All right, so you have your secondary boulders with lichen in there. It kind of creates a little bit of a ledge. Okay? All right, so let's take a look and let's do this again, but let's do it with a different, but very similar image. This one was created after I did this ledge here. This ledge here blended so beautifully. I wanted to do kind of a different rock with a different texture. This one's more kind of like granite or something, I guess. This other one is, I don't know what composition that is, but it's, I don't know, it's covered with lichen, so it has a different texture. It's a little bit more kind of aged looking. This one would be kind of a little bit more exposed, probably gets, snow on it every year, whatever. Okay? I really look at rocks. Rocks are my kind of a litmus test, I don't know if that's what you call it, as far as kind of drawing capabilities. When I look at other stamp designs, I can tell if someone really knows what they're doing in terms of drawing by the way they do rocks, in terms of the volumes and textures and patterns within those rocks, and how they can blend together too. A lot of times there's kind of circles with a little bit of texture on them, or, like shading, but you really want different volumes like that, the way rocks kind of break and crack, with age, and how they kind of weather, all right? But anyways, you can see how I'm just kind of going around like that again. It looks a little bit different than this one, though, doesn't it? Just in terms of the feel of it. Okay. Going around. You can go, less or more, I would kind of change it up a little bit. You can change your, like this one, let's go real low and just use a small portion of it like this, okay? Like that. See that right there? One of the things about this is if you're doing a scene in here, let's say you're looking from the inside out, you have to decide, what you kind of want back in that area. Okay, so we have this right here. I mean, this area right here does a little bit of an overlap, but I don't know, it doesn't look bad, but you could have, masked that off and then hit that one right there if you wanted to. Okay, so let's take a look at a fusion one. I'm talking about kind of different types of textures. Let's say, I don't know, you have the interior of a cave, and I don't know, there's some moss or something like that. I mean, this lichen on here could be moss or something of that kind of growing on there too. And let's say the one that's kind of a little bit more exposed to the elements gets kind of worn off, snow gets on there and ice, and it, it melts off, and it's subject to the wind and kind of the elements a little bit more. So let's do that, okay? And you'll see that generally rocks of different types of things, like I said, they can harmonize with each other. I go out to Joshua Tree all the time and see, I don't know, granite next to rose granite. One kind of crumbles a little bit more than the other. They're just kind of totally different textures. Sometimes there's a vein of quartz, kind of running down in the middle of a rose granite field or whatever, and I don't know, you can see it go on for 100 yards. It's really amazing. Okay, now I'm kind of going a little bit more perimeter oriented on this one. I mean, you can leave it too, where it's just open on one side too. It doesn't always have to be closed off, like that. But see, this one right here, we have just a larger opening. I'm going to change that now, with kind of a combination of the textures right here. So we'll take the ledge right here, and then we'll go with our certainly easy masks, or very, simplistic way of masking here. And let's come across like this, okay? Now I'm going to go roughly around in here. I could mask that up. I'm just going to go like a little bit, so if it does overlap, that's not going to be any big deal. Okay, so you see that right there? How that kind of harmonizes, it just blends right in. Let's hit another one right across here using that same one. You don't have to go all the way around either, and that's where the variation comes into play as far as your, I don't know, kind of your layout possibilities, your compositional possibilities here. Okay, let's mask that off like so. Mask that off like so. I have about, I don't know, a good almost ½ inch right there. Maybe it's more like a ½ inch of the previous impression showing. Don't go right up to your edge like that, otherwise you're going to have this kind of gap in between your layers in here. Okay, there's going to be a big white space. Okay. So I have enough of it showing, and the way, like I said, the way that I create these images with the transition zones, it's meant to overlap, so you don't have to do like careful masking and things like that. Okay, so see that right there? You have that rock right in there, and it blends right in. If you look real closely, that does show that rock going into this one, but I mean, who cares? You're going to be coloring this in anyways. And that blends in enough, to where it, I don't know, that's not like some kind of obtrusive mark or anything like that. All right, so anyways, we have 3 different openings and 3 different variations right here. Now, caves, I mean, these can be great for anything. I mean, you can do whatever you want. You can do other types of imagery in here, like you're looking from the inside out. You could be in a cave, bear cave or something like that, or whatever. I don't know. Animals use these types of things. Or it could just be like a sea cave or whatever. Let's do something like that. Let's add something in here. I mean, these are just great frames, too. You can have word stamps in here, or whatever you want. It could be a cave on, I don't know, mountain, and you're looking at it the night sky. We can do a moon in the distance or whatnot. But let's do a sea cave. I love those types of things. I mean, I lived in Lompoc, and we always used to go to Vandenberg Air Force Base. Kind of a fairly rugged coastline there. When you think about going to the beaches, people are thinking of like sand in Hawaii, or you know what I mean, Waikiki or something like that. But yeah, beaches where I grew up, are pretty rough seas and whatnot, with very cold water and usually foggy and windy. Not like Maine or something like that, in the wintertime, but, pretty cold nonetheless. And there are some sea caves out there. Tide pools and all that type of coastline. But let's go like this. Okay, I don't know if this is going to be a large enough block for my Seaside Cove small here, but I'm only going to be using a certain portion anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, so on this one right here, and because I'm not doing a lot of super careful masking, well, let me kind of open this up a little bit right here. Have a little bit more of that showing. I'm stamping over a lot of kind of height variation right here with the overlapping paper towels and whatnot. So I'm not sure if I'm going to get this super clean on the edges right there, but because I'm usually coloring these scenes anyways, it doesn't matter. If I miss something, I'll just put some extra color there, and there's the Seaside Cove. Okay, all right. So anyways, by the way, I'm using tack and peel on my block here, and that holds my unmounted rubber. Okay? Get that back down on there for that temporary bond. All right, now, here, let's do this thing right here, too. I'm going to kind of wipe this off on the edges a little bit, okay? Or I might overlap into my rocks, but like I said, if it does show some overlap, or if I do miss some, I don't worry about it. Okay, so just roughly kind of, gauging the top portion of this to the top of my card. I don't want to do it sideways like that, or although you could. It could be kind of an angled type of composition. Sometimes when you stamp things at an angle, it gives it a dramatic type of visual movement to a scene. I don't do that enough. I'm usually stamping on kind of horizontal, But if you kind of skew things sometimes and have everything kind of off, it can be kind of interesting. I need to do that more often, especially when it comes to things like skies. Okay, so I am giving this a little bit more pressure because I do have a lot of paper towels down. All right. And kind of put a little bit more pressure around where you have those masks lined up, okay? All right, let's see how I did. Yeah, pretty good. Okay, so see you have your little horizon in there, like a little sun or something like that in the background would be pretty cool. Let's see if I have my sailboat or something like that. Oh, let me get to that after. Okay, so that would be like a sea cave, all right? And let's do something, let's say this is on a mountain or something like that, and let's do a moon out here, okay? All right, now if I'm doing a moon, why don't we do it in, I like blue kind of compositions for kind of a nighttime type of scenario. One of the things, too, with caves, I mean, you have to kind of decide which way is up and which way is down. This one right here, I have a little bit more rock structures, so it's a little bit more heavy, bottom-weighted like that, okay? Where I have less of the cave on top. Now, just from a visual perspective, I typically would look at it like that, but I don't think this looks bad either, if you do it kind of heavier up top, and you can have a sky, moon stamp, or that, that water down like that. I mean, it could go like this, with some water down here, like that. I don't know, for some reason when I look at it like that, I'm thinking lake. But when I do that, I think, I don't know, it could be a ocean. I don't know why. But, okay, let's see. Let's do this in, I just do it in a medium blue. There might be a little bit of black on that from the last time I used it, so it's like a combination of blue and black. Who cares? All right. Now, this one right here. See right here where it would probably stamp into that. I would probably color my rocks kind of a bluish tone, gray anyway. But then on this one right here, I'll wipe off the edge a little bit around the perimeter like that, especially where this is going to be going into those rocks, okay? Like that. But I've created the transitions where kind of if you go into other things, it's not like kind of an obtrusive type of thing, but it just makes the entire stamping layout process nice and user-friendly, okay? Oops, I didn't press hard enough right there, but who cares? That's going to be colored in with blue. All right. So anyways, there's that. You could have some trees coming up here in the foreground too, or whatever. Like some pine trees, I think that'd be pretty nice. This one right here, and let's just leave that one as is. Okay, let's do some things right here. Okay, so we have this scenario right here. I'd like a little bit more of a kind of a transition zone between these rocks and that background. Maybe, I don't know. You could, or you can leave it as is, whatever. But let's do some things in here. Let's make, how about some overhanging foliage, okay? This is just the hanging leaves, or leaves hanging, okay? And I'll show you how to create a little bit of depth with this. Okay, and you can have it kind of on the interior of the cave by stamping it in front of these rocks, kind of hanging down. And I'll do that right here. Let's put a couple impressions like this. I don't think I'd go nuts with it on the interior because, you know, less things grow like that in the darkness, right? But let's do a little bit of masking here too, okay? On this, masking off some of these rocks. And now we have some leaves on the outside of the cave, right? Kind of on the exterior hanging down like that. See, like that? I mean, you can do those in different colors too. You can do it, you know, green or whatever color, you know, something like this would be, you know, which could be anything. All right, so you have something like that. See, it kind of gives you a little bit more depth and kind of a stronger sense of kind of distance too. I mean, like this right here, how do we know that this is from top, you know, top of the cave to the bottom? This could be, you know, 50 feet high for all we know. But when you put these leaves here, now we know in context that this is much closer to us. You know, it's probably 10 feet away. And this opening right here is probably, I don't know, just a couple, you know, 3 feet high or something like that. You know what I mean? Because you have a reference in those leaves right there. Okay, so that is that. Something like this. I think that looks fine just as is, but let's see. Let's add in some kind of foliage like this, okay? I mean, this still could be, you know, top and bottom, whatever way you want to go, okay? Let's do that same type of thing. Let's go with some grass right here, okay? These are the reeds, large. Okay, and I'll put some of this like on the outside of the cave, like so. Let's mask this off, like about like so. And I'll have these reeds out here. Let me go a little bit lower with this one. Okay, I got something like that. See that where I've gone with that behind those rocks, but now I'm going to mask off this one right here, and I'll put some grass right here coming up from this, so it kind of gives a little bit of depth between these two rocks. These two rocks, you know, impressions right here, the ledge, they could all be on the same plane, but you could give it depth and say this one is closer than this one by simply masking off that rock right there, okay? And stamping some grass or reeds this way, okay? You see that right there? See what I did? All right. Let me go for a couple kind of secondary impressions. Okay, let's go like that. Go like this. Go for a couple impressions like that, where they're a little bit lighter. Like about like so, okay. I mean, you can do this too. I can, you know, I can put this, you know, down this way now, and we could hit this in the foreground too, like this. I mean, it was all kind of foreground, but you're just kind of adding more and more depth when you do that, okay. All right, so that is that. Let me go grab a couple little foreground, kind of subject matter types of things. Let me see what I have on my table right here. Here's a little eagle flying like this. Let's put a little eagle in here. Now, normally I would color this in and give it a little bit more depth, but, you know, before I kind of stamp in my subject matter, focal points, whatever you want to call it. Animals, you know. Let's have a little eagle flying in front of the moon like that. It's like you're looking out at the moon. Who knows, this area in here could be where the eagle, you know, kind of nests or something like that, especially if it's on the cave or something like that. pretty cool. Do something of that sort. And on this one, let me put something down here. Let me see if I can find like a little boat or something of that sort, or just someone on the, I don't know, what is it, a lake or the ocean. All right, here's a, you don't have to go too far. I have a bunch of my unmounted stamps that I haven't put back in my binder yet. I've been stamping so much, I typically, you just see however I kind of organize my stamps. I don't do it for a while, so everything's kind of sitting in piles. I would say I know where everything is, but it's not 100% the case. All right, so here's a little kayaker here. Let's put him right about right here. And like I said, I can put kind of distant trees in the background or whatever. If I did that, I would do them in a much lighter tone so that the kayaker would kind of stand out a little bit more. But would be cool, kind of, you can put a little moon on the, you know, the background horizon like that, or it could just be a simple masked moon too. You can put a, you know, a half circle right there and kind of tone it in around that. Maybe I'll do that. I'll finish off a couple of these in a separate video, but anyways, this is kind of your idea on a cave, and that's kind of the structuring of it and whatnot. They're really fun to execute in terms of the coloring too, because like I said, these are kind of natural framing devices here when you're thinking about kind of a cave. And they're really perfect for your, I don't know, just different compositional elements. And they do bring a certain type of drama to a scene in terms of kind of this window into a different world that, I don't know, adds kind of a heavy kind of structuring around things. And like I said, what I would typically do is I'd kind of darken up the perimeter of it a little bit, and probably make it a little bit lighter as you move towards the open because you have the light coming through it. You can do all kinds of things too. I mean, I could have this moon like this, and this would be really fun too. I haven't done this before with a cave. I don't stamp caves too often, but wouldn't it be cool to have kind of blue tones in here, but then to do that thing with the light beams. So you can have light beams kind of streaming through into the cave, if you know what I mean. If you've watched some of my other videos where we do these light beams, and I mean it would be breaking through kind of this darker perimeter in here. I don't know, I'm going to have to do that now that I'm thinking about it. Not in this video here, but anyway, something like this, you know, this would be great too with kind of a sunset up here or something like that. I mean, you're going to have to mask off that, you know, to get these, you know, other colors in here at this point in time. But if this is going to be kind of sunset colors in here, one of the things I like to do, I would probably color these rocks in here a little bit grayish or whatever, but you have some of that color of the sunset tones, you know, reflecting off the surface right here and on the rocks there because, you know, warm reflective, or warm tones of light, if you shine it on something, are going to reflect those same types of colors. So I wouldn't go with like cool blues in here and warm tones out there only. You want to bring in some of those tones from the outside on these rocks so it's reflecting that warmth. Okay, so anyways, caves, fun with caves, all right? Ledge and boulders with lichen, you know, tend to do the trick for me. And I know this individual has those two stamps, and I can't wait to see what she does. All right, so anyways, if you have any questions, drop me a note in the comment section. Thanks as always for watching the channel. And if you like these videos, please hit the thumbs up. All right, until the next video.